Hi, Hank. I thought I would like to do a video lesson with you to see how this works. I'm hoping that this will be a good way for me to, when you're busy and don't have time because of your classes and everything, you still could, when you have a chance, you could still do it. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So we're gonna go back to some of your previous learning, some of the knowledge that you've already gotten about drawing shapes, and we're going to create a drawing that actually shows highlights, but we're going to do it differently because we're going to fill the whole object in with shading, and then we're going to erase away some of the pigment, some of the graphite, so we get a sense of the roundness of the shape of the jar. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I should move this out of my way. Okay. So we're going to start real simply. We're going to go back to the cylinder. Even though this is not a cylinder, the shape is similar to that because it is curved. We're going to take those basic that basic process of creating a cylinder and create this shape. So we're going to start with, the oval on top like we've done before. And we'll do the sides with the lines coming straight down like so. And then the bottom, remember that we do an oval because in reality, inside the jar, we still see kind of that the inner oval on the other side, kind of the opposite curve as the bottom. Now, also at the bottom of my jar, there's a thicker piece of glass, dark piece of glass. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that shape. It's just a little curved line, and I'm just going to fill that in. And it's darker than the rest of the jar. So I'm going to fill that in. And you'll notice with a lot of containers, glass containers, that it's a little thicker on the bottom because of the way they pour the glass. Now I'm going to work on the neck of this container. I put a line, remember how we put a line down the middle, like this. And we're going to put two lines on either side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, this is all about practice. We'll start to worry when we're not practicing anymore. So, and then, of course, the side of this jar kind of comes up and it curves up to the neck there. So I'm going to repeat that kind of thing there. I'll just take that line. All I did was a little S-curve. Do the same thing on this side, coming down and reaching down the side of the jar. Okay? Now we want to fill the jar in, hopefully dark enough for for us to be able to do the highlights, but not so dark that it matches the color at the base. Okay, so I'm just gonna. Matter of fact, why don't we play around a little bit? Let's do the. Remember how we do the curve on the cylinder? So we're gonna play around with that a little bit, so we still get a sense of that curve. And remember, all you're going to do is you're just going to keep going over things so we do get a sense of the curve. Now it starts here, and when we go up, if we continue that curve, it'll make for more of an interesting shape, and it'll be more realistic when it comes to creating something that looks like the object that you're drawing. We're going to do the same thing in here. Now remember, we have this curve going up, so this will come down, straight down like this, and it will start to move around. So we go with that curve like that. It'll come down here. You see what I'm doing? It'll actually come down on this part of the jar. And then we'll come over here, some straight lines kind of going, but then we start to curve them again, going off the side. So now we get this sense of lines going in a lot of different directions. And this is really fast. And again, this is just practice. I don't want you to get bogged down with a lot of worry about how it's looking and everything. All right, so we still get that sense of the curve. I'm going to take my eraser to get rid of some of this. I'm going to knock that corner off so it looks like it's curved there. Do the same on the other side. Now we have this kind of movement that we would like to see. And then next, I'm going to start to do the highlights in it. There's some really interesting highlights that are going on, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm hoping I can use this one because it's a soft eraser. Sometimes it'll act kind of there's a little bit there. That's not really what I want. Let me see if I can get what I want here. Okay, and then I'm going to go up into the neck because there is some highlights kind of up in here. You know what, this is not a very good eraser, so I'm going to grab my other eraser. I know this will do better for us. So I'm just going to, grab the area that I think will, there it goes. Then I'm going to come in here, do some highlighting in there, or there's some coming down in this direction around the neck. And on this side, I have a really nice bit of light coming down here. And I have a label on this, so I'm just going to create the label instead of trying to guess where the highlight is. And I'm going to make it darker than the glass, but not as dark as the one down on the bottom. And I'm going to do some cross hatching. So I'm just going to go in this direction to start. So you get a sense that the label is definitely there, and then we have a nice color in there. But I'm going to look at where the highlight is, and there is actually a highlight along the edge of this, and little highlights down here, and it looks like there's some on here too. So I'm going to go ahead and let it ride, like right along that edge. And all right, so I made that pretty dark. So and because these erasers are not really what I would like to use, I thought they would be fine. But anyway, I'll exaggerate those a little bit so you can kind of see them. Yeah. And if you look really close, you can still see on the inside here that little curve, but how the highlight breaks through it. So I'm going to go ahead and outline my highlights, and we're going to do more. We're going to do more of these, but this will give you an idea of how that highlight is actually flowing across and around the glass. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to do something right there. So just some simple outlining so you can kind of see. Now I'll make them dark. I don't want you to make yours dark, but this is just so you can kind of see where my highlights are in the neck here, and how it flows around the glass. And like I said, it's different where you see the highlights along the side of this. Okay, this highlight is kind of almost like a cloud reaching around and then coming back down. And there's a little bit of a highlight there, and then there's a little bit of a highlight here. Then right here we have this one that's on the front, kind of like an amoeba shape. And then we have the highlight coming around the glass, and I'm going to curve that just a little bit so you can kind of see where I'm getting some of the highlights. Okay. I promise to have a better eraser next time, but this should give you an idea. Okay, and like I said, there was a highlight here at the top too, but it's kind of like in just a couple of spots. So I'm going to draw a line about that one. You'll notice that it's two things there. So I have a highlight here at the top. Have the highlights kind of working its way down the glass here. Oops, I missed the one on the side. The one on the side here, little highlight here. So you get an idea of how the highlights might be working. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video. I want you to find a piece of glass, a glass container of some type that you can kind of practice with, that no one needs to use, and have a lot of fun with that. I hope you have fun. You take care. Say hi to your family. God bless you, and take care. Be safe.